There's my camera.
Yeah. And there you are.
Our other, I'm not uploaded on our other session, which is weird. I'm usually uploaded right away.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm more organized than this usually. Hi.
It's okay. We can see like the bottom half of your
Oh my
face,
gosh.
not the whole thing. Maybe like there we go. There we go.
Phew.
There's the money shot. How are you today?
Oh, jeez. All right, what's happening? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Going even better now. How are you?
It's all right. It's nice and rainy out, so this is a perfect day.
Oh, so yeah, that's a really good day to talk. Well, I'm glad. Thank you so much for stopping by to talk to us. I kind of don't know what to say. I'm a little starstruck.
I'm not Cole.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, he loves himself some Cole, and so that's why he's there. I did want to take a chance
I'm
and
the only
show-
one.
I have the House of Hallowell phone case.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, I had to take it off of the phone to show it to you, but it's here. So we here the name of our group is the Power of G. So clearly it's a little nod to the power of three, and I'm
Sure.
G in the power of G. So this is the rest of the gang. Um
Okay.
we get together and we do a lot of things, but mostly we've been rewatching Charmed and we're in season 4. And so we're getting closer and closer to saving Private Leo. And so you reaching out was like the perfect time. Perfect time. So we just wanted to take a little time just to kind of get your perspective on like Charmed, its legacy, things like that. So I mean, it's been over 20 years at this point, and you still have people that are just beaming to talk to you. How does that feel?
It's it's really wild. Being able to go to Comic Cons and doing our podcast and this is the show that just keeps on ticking. It's on every morning on T and around the world, and it's kind of, I grew up watching, shows and reruns. It appears to me now Charmed is that show. You have three generations of people that are watching the show and passing it on, and it's a testament to what the girls did in their performance, and and to the storytelling, what the story actually is about. You can be different, and you can still have all the power, and I think that's kind of a timeless story to be told, and they did a great job with it.
Good. Yeah, they did, and I think that's part of why it has just persisted for so long. And Piper and Leo are one of the main like love stories of the show. So, how did you kind of, as you and Holly were going, did you know that people were still gonna be loving y'all all this time later?
No, I think Cole and Phoebe and Steve thing, and we knew we were the kind of the family. We're the family. We're the older couple. But I don't know that we had any inclination at the time that we were this. Yeah, we were always trying to fight for this true love. But for it to still be a thing today is really it's special for both of us. And Holly and I are able to still do Comic Cons together and travel, and to meet people and face to face the audience, and to see what it means to people when we meet them in person is it's been a really special experience for me and for her that we can actually share that in person now, and now with the podcast be able to put some stories behind the scene and describe a little more like how our personal relationship was while we were making it, and even though we were very good friends, we weren't, there was nothing steamy. It was a job. And, I think that kind of helped us as well. It's like, look, this is a job and this is the couple we are. And it just seemed to work, which is kind of bizarre.
Well, I was able to see you in Florida. That was my first time meeting you at 90s Con. And the way that you and Holly still interact, and really all of you on the cast still interact after so long, I think is one of my favorite parts of everything that we're seeing going like now. Because sometimes when you're watching things and you feel disconnected from the cast and you don't quite get a chance to know how they are, who they are, I think it's beautiful being able to see the love that you clearly have for each other even after all this time.
Oh, thanks. Holly's been there through a lot of times for me. She knows my breakups, my divorce, my son. She's seen me go through a lot, and she's always been more than just a friend to me, and really kind of helped mentored me and be kind of a sister to me as well. Her relationship has been invaluable. What it means to me.
Yeah. I can absolutely imagine. And doing the House of Hello podcast, I can imagine really brought you a lot closer. So, how has that experience been just kind of going through the old episodes and seeing yourself and just reliving all of it?
I didn't really watch the show when it was on. I did the first season or so and watched, but then I stopped watching it because I didn't want my opinion to affect how I came to set. So once we filmed it, this is the first time for me actually watching these episodes. So it's, it's bizarre. It's really hard to watch oneself and not be super critical. And that's why I usually don't watch most of my work at all. But to go through and talk about, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember this episode or what we were doing, or kind of maybe I remember that we watched Coyote Piper today, and I remember shooting that, and I wasn't there on the day for the whole dance, but there was so much buzz about it when we made it,
Yeah.
and everything that took. So that kind of took us back a bit.
Yeah. Because it's just hearing you, like, sometimes it'll be funny because, you have fans that are super fans and they know every single scene and it's down. And as an
Yeah.
actor, just like being, I remember that somewhat.
I'm like, I did? They're like, oh yeah, you did three times. I'm like, really?
Like when did
Huh.
that happen? Well, so with that, kind of going back and seeing Leo, how do you feel about him as a character with where you are right now? Are you grooving with him?
Uh, you know, I love Leo, and when my son was really young when I was making the show initially, and what I loved about it is that I was playing a character that was always giving the moral message of do the right thing and good things happen, and I think as a young father, that's the message to my child anyway. So, um, I do have a soft spot for Leo and what he means as an honest man, and I think that's always something to me. He epitomized do the right thing, and uh, you know, could he have been tougher? Could he have been a little edgier? Could he have this? I think a lot of that, in hindsight, could have been added or weaved into. But as far as like a character of do the right thing and good things happen, I don't know if it gets more pure than Leo.
Yeah. I mean, he's a literal angel, so you can't
Yeah,
get much better than that.
until he's not.
Exactly. And that's actually, if you see Diamond and her backdrop, that's
Yeah.
actually one of like the best moments when Leo gets that lightning going and we get a chance to see him
Oh,
like really cut up.
nice.
That I love that phase. I love that phase of the character. Would you be okay with taking a couple of questions from some
Of,
people?
of course.
Okay. So we'll get them to raise their hand and then we'll just go in order from there.
Sure.
Daisy has her hand up. She has a question for you.
Alrighty, I have a question. It's kind of like as the seasons went on, it was kind of like like whether or not it was going to renew was kind of like up in the air. And around that same time, I think you were doing like some films as well. So what was it like juggling like the job of Charmed and whether or not it was going to renew and like the rest of your schedule?
Well, we would film between, I think it was July or August and May. So every summer, basically, we knew we had a couple months off waiting for them to get the pickup. So that was kind of the only time you had free to actually go do something. But as you can tell, every season, I wasn't sure if I was coming back the next season, even though I had a contract or whatever. They always left me dangling. I'm frozen, I'm dead, I'm this. So I was always wondering, even though they reassured me, I never believed it. So I figured, just keep working. But, summertime was free. And I tried to spend most of my summer with my son all summer and go to the beach and do the thing. But, I also had to keep working. So, I was free because shooting Charms Monday through Friday, but then you go do a movie, now you're on location, and it's much lighter work than it was the grind of doing a television show. But I never knew if we were coming back. I think the girls had a better idea than I did, but I think once I got to maybe season 4 going into 5 and 5 to 6 and 6 to 7, 7 to 8, it was, I just never believed I was coming back until I kind of wasn't at the end. But, they kept bringing me back, and it was, the show just kept going. I think we could have probably done a few more seasons had we kept the girls together and whatever. But I think 8 seasons, people were pretty tired. It's a long, that's a long time.
That's very, very true. Jim has a question.
How's it going, Brian?
All
So it's funny you say you weren't sure from season 1 on whether you were coming back or not. Because my question is, were there any other characters that you possibly wanted to play as you're now looking back on the show?
Well, I initially auditioned for Andy Trudeau, my very first audition for the show. I'm grateful I didn't get it. And I think I was too young looking at the time to play a detective.
Okay.
Now I have the wrinkles and the thing, and I've kind of aged into this. But, looking back, look, Cole Turner is probably the most fun character of the show.
No.
As far as like getting to be the evil and struggle and and listen, this is Julian's a great actor with a ton of character and so much charisma. He made that. You give that to somebody else and they turn that into something different. What a fun character to play. But looking back, no, I'm Leo, and I don't know that anybody else plays it like I did. And to play another character, I think it would have been fun to play this demon or have this chance or play this bad guy. But to be, I don't know if I would have ever chosen anyone besides Leo.
We love you as Leo, and you got to play the bad guy, from time to time.
Yeah. That was the beauty of the show. There's not a lot of shows where, as an actor, you get to play anything more than this. You're the cop, you're the lawyer, you're the doctor, you're the mom, and this is your character for the show. It was our show. All of a sudden, Piper's Coyote Piper. I'm Gideon. I'm a Darklighter. I'm a this. We were constantly under spell or something. So we always got to play more than just our own character. And that, as an actor, when do you get to do that, where you're playing all these kind of different characters in one go? And I think I'd love to do another magic show like that, because it's you're not just necessarily playing the same role over and over and over. You're fighting for that inner, what's inside of you, but oh my gosh, you're under spell. This happens to you. So you get to do something more than just be the cop or something,
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, Brian. So great to be chatting with you. I am a lifelong Charmed fan, 90s baby. So like when I was too young to be watching Charmed, I was watching Charmed, so really excited to be asking you. So kind of in vain with what you were just saying, we see Leo go through a lot of different, basically beings. You know, you start off as a white lighter, then you become an elder, then you become an avatar, then you go back to just being a mortal human, you know, the best dad around. Is there a favorite version that you have of Leo just in general? And was there a version of Leo that you really enjoyed getting to play when you were, you know, the show was active?
Uh, I don't know how much I really liked the Avatar. I mean, going a little dark was interesting. And I think I was kind of in a dark spot of my life at that point, you know, and divorce and yada, yada, yada. And so they kind of wrote for us as we went along. But I think at the end of the day, being just Leo, the nice, loving dad, is kind of my sweet spot. But yeah, you know, getting taken over and having these powers and being angry and then, you know, fighting Gideon and doing all that, or becoming evil Leo and fighting myself. And, you know, those were all so fun to play with. But the storyline, you know, when I start wearing the gold robe and go up there, I think it was kind of lost on me. And I don't know that it wasn't some of my favorite stuff to do. You know, the whole elder thing was. I feel as though it lost its way a little bit there. It was fun, and I think they were just kind of pushing a storyline over there and separating us somehow. But it wasn't the most fun. You know, to show up and wear that gold robe, and I didn't love it. But you know, John Delancey is, maybe some of you know, he's so phenomenal. You know, from Star Trek and everything he's done, and I actually just saw him a few months ago at a con, and we reconnected. First time I'd seen him in 20 years, and we were kind of running it by. And you know, every different stage, like you said, has its own thing. Yeah, I don't know that that was my favorite. I just like good old fashioned, kind of boring Leo. No trouble, don't vanquish me. Yeah.
You just like Leo in his neutral state.
Yeah, just keep bringing me back, right?
Right. I think we had a question from Leia, but she put her hand down. But I just want to make sure.
No, because I wasn't sure if this has been said or not, but I wanted to know, like, since you're going back and watching, do you have like a favorite season or like episode that you've seen so far?
So far, season three's been pretty fun for us. You know, the first two were great, and the show's kind of getting under its legs. And, you know, you could really see in season three where the girls are comfortable with one another. And there's the improv and Shannon, and everybody's just really grooving. And I think this is the season where you see the show really kind of find its footing, and you know, we go from here. And so far it's been my favorite so far. I mean, I loved Coyote Piper today. One of my favorites for sure. You know, there's a few, but you know, I think all of season three with Shannon and everything she does is, you know, especially now looking back on it, it's, you know, it's hard to watch, but it's also amazing to watch and see how committed she was, and how so much of her personality was that show. And you know, knowing how much it changed from there, it's going to be interesting as we go into the next season, and you know, watch this transition with Rose as she comes on, and see how much the show's actually going to change. But you know, I think a lot of my stuff with Shannon, because she's fun to watch, you know, for me. She was fun.
I love that. I love that. And you know, Shannon was such a huge part of the show, not just in really her character on screen, but I mean, she had a deep, deep passion for it.
Yeah.
Um, what what was it like working with her on set, and just do you have like a favorite memory of working with her?
You know, I knew all the girls before we made the show. You know, kind of socially out and about, and she was actually friends with someone who my friend and my ex-wife was friends with. So I kind of knew her peripherally. So then when I got the job and showed up to set, it was like, oh man, friend time is over. like, everybody's heard all the rumors, and is this going to be difficult? And she has a high work ethic, and I was really nervous not to mess up, and I wanted to do so good for her because this was her show. This is her baby, and there was a lot of self-imposed pressure to do my best because she always demanded the best, and she was so committed to it. So there was I put a lot of pressure on myself to be as good as possible. So show up, do my lines, and just stay out of the way, and kind of watch how, she had been on set for so long already. All the girls had since they were children. And so they had way more experience on set and work than I did at that point. And to just kind of watch how they navigated not just the scenes and the lines, but how they talked to the crew, how they knew the cameras, the lights, what it was like, watching them be at ease, and just kind of watching them as professionals, how they go about their job. And I learned so much from them in that respect, of how to handle yourself, not just as a professional, but then to also be able to lay it down and have a lot of fun. The girls were always having fun, and Shannon was definitely, she was a prankster when she wanted to be a prankster, and but when it came down to work, it was work time. So I just tried to stay out of the way. Don't get fired, Brian.
just stay here as long as you can.
Stay in your lane. Yeah.
Well, you did a great job with it. Let me just throw that out there. You did an amazing job. And did you kind of know Leo was going to become this big part of the show when you first came on?
Not at all. I booked the role, and they call it a possible recurring. So they gave me 3 episodes and said, if you do well, they'll add a couple, then they'll add a couple. And that's kind of what happened the first season. And then season 2 was kind of the same thing. I got like 7 episodes of the first half, and then they decided to make me a regular halfway through. But starting that way, I always knew that there was a way to go. You could always go backwards. So, I never felt like it was my show, or that I was one of the main regulars. I was still always kind of felt like, it's about the charmed ones, and it doesn't say the charmed ones in Leo. It's it says the charmed ones. So I kind of always knew my spot, and try to act accordingly from there. Just make sure you stay on the show by doing a good job and staying out of their way.
Right. That makes perfect sense. That makes a lot of sense. So speaking kind of like doing a good job outside of Charmed, I love, one of my favorite projects with you in it is Sleepwalkers. That is just one of my favorites. And I was just wondering, do you have like a favorite thing that you did outside of Charmed just at any point in your career?
I mean, Sleepwalkers is definitely. I had made a goal when I was 18 that I was going to star in a feature film, starring Brian Krause, and so here I was at 22, and I'm starring in a movie, a Stephen King movie, and it was my dream came true, and it's I couldn't believe it. But, so that was kind of like one of those first click the boxes for me, and I was pretty green at the time and working with some incredible people, but that was definitely a memory that I'll always have, that it taught me at a young age that you can create a goal, work towards it, and it happens, and this is something I've tried to instill in my son and my friends and all people, is that, there's no rules to life. You can make your rule and set the goal and go get it. It's all possible. Beyond that, the movie I did before that, The Return to the Blue Lagoon, I got a chance to go to Fiji for 3 months and kind of live this life with these people that lived in the village there, and they taught me how to swim and fish and kind of live this really simple life. And it's an experience that I cherish and still cherish to this day. But I've had fun on pretty much every set I've been on, even if the movie wasn't the best. I've made some funny little sci-fi movies, but they were always a great experience one way or the other, whether it was with the other actors or the crew or the location we got to get to. I don't know. It got overloaded and crashed, so I just turned on my my iPod. We're getting there. This is as you've heard on the podcast. Podcasting with the parents.
It was listen, it was ready to hear that story about Fiji. It knew we were ready to hear about some of your times in Fiji. That's what.
So this is Fiji here. This is one of the last photos I took was out of a box camera.
Oh.
And I actually had a friend who from Charmed, our script supervisor, her husband was an artist, and I said, "Hey, can you paint this picture?" And I brought him this little 3x5 picture. And he painted it for me, which is kind of like a memory I'll have forever.
For that, and it's beautiful. That is gorgeous. Absolutely. So you were telling us kind of about how going to Fiji was such a good experience, and you got a chance to be there for like what 3 months? You said, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that? How was that kind of going out of?
I was 21. I'd never been away from home by myself, and it was just incredible. Where we went in Fiji was this very small, the third largest island called Taveuni. And then we filmed in these small little villages where people literally, they fish, they farm, they live off the land, they live in huts, they sleep on the floor. There's no doors there. They're just real, living off the land natives, and, the happiest people I'd ever met on the planet. And they had no money and no nothing. And it was an amazing experience going there, with all the money in the world of a movie, and then meeting all these people who literally had what we would consider third world and nothing. And they were the happiest people ever. And it was a huge lesson I took with me when I came back to Hollywood, early starting back in Hollywood. It was like, all right, driving a Mercedes and all these things, none of this matters.
Mm-hmm.
I just learned what matters from these people, and what mattered was family and village and togetherness. And, it was a big lesson for me. And from there, I've taken kind of the same attitude going forward. And, what the most important thing that we have is each other, and not our things. And I think that's kind of what I try to, how I live, it's people are the most important.
Yeah. I love that. And thank you for sharing that with us. We talk all the time about how none of us knew each other, and we were all growing up in our own little areas in the world watching Charmed, and somehow we found our way to each other now, and here we are. Just not to be overly dramatic, but one of the things that was always kind of my passion in life was entertaining, and I always wanted to be in not the industry necessarily, but in some sort of entertainment field. And being able to sit here and talk to you now and share this with these people who I have come to love and think of as family is just, I mean, we're your legacy. I mean, truly, we really are. And
thanks. It's Holly always says, and Rose and the girls, like, Charmed has created a family. And I think it's one thing that what the show says, it's sometimes our family doesn't turn out to be our family the rest of our life. Things happen. Dad's a jerk, mom's or whatever. Things happen for us, and our family can be what we make it, and those that we love the most. And sometimes we do make our own family, and I'm honored that Charm brought you guys together. It's don't make Leo cry.
Look, I'm gonna show you real quick the picture. This is the picture we took in Florida.
Nice.
And I love this picture. Just like, I don't even know what we were talking about, but
but
I
love it.
The way that you not just embraced me, but everyone that came to talk to you. It felt very real and authentic, and I think that strengthens the connection that people have to the show, is being able to meet, the people who brought their favorite characters to life, and they have these beautiful experiences. So in going to cons, how has that been, just being able to like receive all the love that you get?
I mean, it changes everything. I've met a lot of actors that go to cons and they're like, ugh,
Mhm.
they're just go. I got to go make money. Blah, blah, blah. The fans over here, and I'm like, without them, you're nothing. Like, how are you not enjoying this experience? I always felt like you're not. Yeah, you want to get something signed. Yeah, you want to get a picture, but it's really. I always feel like people want their 2 minutes.
Mhm.
If that's all I get is give me this little slight experience in an exchange. My mother was my biggest fan, and always told me, return the fan mail. These are the people that without them you have nothing. So always engage. And I was at one of my very first Comic Cons in Philadelphia the day she passed. And everybody's like, go home, go be there, fly home. And, it's like, what am I going to do today? Nothing's happening for a week, and I sat there and I thought, what would my mother want me to do right now? And I just sat there for a moment. I said, you know what? She'd want me to go out there and turn and put all my energy onto the crowd. And I did. And I walked out and I said, you know what? Every person I meet today is there because they have a love for whatever happened. And I tell you, it made all the difference. And now when I go to cons, every single one I go to, I remember my mother and just give myself to the moment of being there, and sometimes people go to Comic Cons and they've saved up all year for just this moment. And you see an actor go, okay, yeah, thanks, Senator. Okay, bye, next. And I'm like, man, you just shortchanged this person of, hello, what's your name? How are you? A little, it just takes a second and it can make all the difference. And so I try to be as present as possible, and just so grateful that, I've been lucky enough to be able to do what I do. And, it could all go away so very quickly. And, I think without gratitude, I think I've seen it go away for a lot of actors, because of their ego, because of a lack of being grateful. And, I have control in that. And so I, for always, forever be grateful that I still have an opportunity to keep doing it. I've been very fortunate in that way.
That is beautiful. That's amazing to hear. I just, that warms my heart to know that you think so deeply of everybody. Because I mean, like you said, imagine you've been waiting all year for this, and then you get there, and it's like, all right, next, and it moved because it already moved
Next.
quick. Exactly. It's
That's right. And then sometimes people come to the table and they can't even get a word out, and they're like, oh, and they can't speak, and then they get their thing and they move on, and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
come here, what, and I'll force them to talk, and they can't find their words. They're like, no, I can't. I'm like, no, like, don't. You're gonna walk away in 10 minutes. You're gonna be pissed off that you didn't. Let's. So I try to be as engaging as possible.
Yeah. That's actually what you did for me, because I was so nervous, and
Oh, really?
yeah, when I walked up, I was like, what do I say? And what I always remember is that you waited for me to respond versus being like, okay, let me just, whatever. That meant a lot, because it made me feel like you actually saw me versus the next person in line. And so that was a very special experience.
Awesome.
Very special.
Yay.
Don't worry. If it was bad, I wouldn't have told you. I would have just not even. But we're gonna take a few more.
I wouldn't be on right now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. Like,
hilarious.
We'll take a few more questions and then we'll let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your day.
Sure.
Daisy has her hand up, and then Diamond and Jim.
Hi. I was kind of questioning of like when to do that because I didn't know if you were going to take any more or not. So I would like raise the that's lower. But you mentioned your mom at one point, and this group stood by me when I lost my dad.
Mm.
And I don't know, it was just one of those things of like I heard that and it resonated. And I was just so grateful to have this group. And I'm grateful that you felt comfortable like sharing with us about the loss of your mom because it's something so deeply personal.
Thanks. You know, Charms brought a lot of us together, and I think if you know, as much as the group is meant for you, I think turning around for me, being able to lean on the fans when I've needed them has been something everybody's been so open to, and I think it's. I don't know that every fandom is that way. You know, some of my friends, you know, they're big horror movies, and I don't know if they have the same compassion as our fandom does, or you know, they're on Law and Order. It's a different fandom, but you know, the fandom of the Charm fandom is, I mean, it's just a different cloth.
You kind of evolved into this little coven of people who just kind of want to hold each other close and help each other get through. It's been one of the most delightful fandoms I've been a part of because I'm also a Trekkie. You mentioned John Delancey, and I had a little wiggle moment of that. But the Trek fandom can be intense. It really can. And so when I started getting more involved with like the Charmed fandom and just how sweet it really is, it was a breath of fresh air. And I'm so grateful to actually get to meet you. I remember being a teenager and just like rooting for Piper and Leo and like their relationship. And so it's really cool to be able to meet you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's an honor. I'm just grateful. I don't know what else to say.
I love it. I love it. Diamond has her hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of ask, you mentioned your son a couple of times, and I wanted to ask, like, since kind of like you mentioned that getting to play like father Leo and just being a dad and being a regular guy was kind of your favorite part of favorite time playing Leo. Did your relationship with your son kind of play into how you know how you pulled Leo in when parenting Wyatt and playing Wyatt, and then especially, you know, when you're dealing with Chris, like Drew, you know, who's an adult and still your son, and having to deal with that, especially because I'm sure your son was much younger than adult Chris was when you were having to play that sort of dynamic, you know, against each other where y'all were sort of adversaries at first.
Right. So my son was probably 2 when we started the show. So I definitely identified more with, you know, young Wyatt and the babies and being able to handle them and know how to, you know, not to allow them to be comfortable on set. None of the other girls had children at the time. I'd been the only one handling little babies. So anytime the babies came on, they kind of handed me the babies and said, Brian, make them comfortable. So that made it easy. But then, you know, as the show, I think when we finished, my son was still only, you know, 8, 10 years old. So, you know, a lot of it was just, I don't know what being a dad to older Chris is. You know, I felt more of like a mentor to him at that point than anything else, you know, I was in my 30s and here comes, you know, Drew, and he's 22 years old. So I felt kind of like a big brother more than anything. But yeah, I think it's helped me. Leo helped me be a dad, and being a dad helped me be Leo at the same sense, you know, and even still today, I think being able to listen and just listen to my son when he's going through something has been probably the greatest tool that I could have, of not necessarily telling him how to go live life, but just hearing him and allowing him to be heard. And you know, this is a Leo trait, not a Brian trait. You know, like, because you know, I want to tell you how to fix it, and I think a lot of times I have to kind of check myself and have patience and just, you know, sometimes it's best as a parent to actually just listen and not offer up the answers. And you know, I think I pulled a piece of that from Leo, if you will, just learning how to be a better listener. which is
Yeah,
still
thank
so.
you. That
You're
yeah, no,
welcome.
I love Leo as a father. I think he did a great job, and I really did like getting to see, that like, both Piper and Leo got to see that they didn't do a perfect job parenting Chris, and then got to work through that and learn how to be better parents. And one of my favorite moments is in that, I forget, I want to think it's called Imaginary Friends, where Leo takes the curse off of baby Wyatt by, taking the teddy bear and then giving it back and showing that trust.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's such a cute moment. So I kind of like love all those little baby moments you get, but then you also get the adult moments, like the adult parenting moments with Chris. So that was really beautiful. But thank you, just thank you for being here today and answering our questions.
Oh, you're welcome. And now even still with our podcast, and Drew's kind of, he, in a way, he's still our son. So, we have our own little therapy moments, and he'll call me up and we talk about everything. And not that I'm a parent, but I'm, as Holly has been to me, I think sometimes I'm there for Drew as well, as a kind of a big brother.
Oh, I love, and y'all have amazing chemistry. Like y'all, you can tell y'all play off each other real, real well.
Thanks.
Jim has his hand up.
So, like Daisy, Brian, when you mentioned your mom, it truly resonated with me because my mom is my number one fan in my business as well. She supports me through everything. So when you said that out, it definitely hit home because she's been my number one fan with Charmed since day one as well. She's like, oh, it's Sunday at 8, it's Thursday at 8, get out his way. But that aspect of Charm that kept me going, as everybody always mentioned here, is the magical aspect. The supernatural aspect is what just keeps me going, and Charm, what's so cool about it. Do you have a favorite power or power set from somebody else? Maybe not necessarily Leo's power, or is there a favorite supernatural aspect that you have of the show?
I mean, I love the idea of being the healer for sure. And I think I'm a compassionate guy like that, and I to be able to take away everyone's pain would be one of the greatest gifts, right? Wow. But I think in the other end of things,
come on,
I kind of wish I had a little Prue power. This is, I can be a little bipolar, right? I want to blow shit up.
I love that.
But then I'll fix it. So, I mean, I think the Prue power is pretty killer, and I mean, gosh, it's got to be so gratifying.
Well, you said at the end of season 3, right?
The power of healing is, I think, one that I think we all wish we could have. Obviously, orbing somewhere would be amazing, I'd be on an island right now and take us all. Let's go. But, I think the power to heal and take away pain from people would be amazing. But, there's a few people in traffic and life that, might need a little twinkle.
A little push to the side.
That's amazing. I love it. Crystal had her hand up, but she put it down. I'm not sure if she still had something she wanted to add.
No, I just wanted to say thank you again, Brian, because this is so awesome. I grew up watching this show, and I remember being younger and randomly just saying Leo for help because I just loved the show so much. I think I was just going to ask, like, was there anything that you would have changed about the show or anything like that,
I always felt I wanted Leo to be a little more interactive, be a little bit more of a tough guy, have some more action, do a few more things. And, then they did add that somewhere towards, as we got towards the end, I blew things up, Become the Dark, the Avatar, and it did change a little bit. And I think I got to a point where it was like, you know what, I'm looking for a different show, right? I want to do all this action. And it's like, okay, well, that's a different show. That's not actually this show. And, they added as much as they could for me, but, again, not my show. So, understanding, this is as far as I'm going to get as far as stunts and things. And I got to do a lot of stuff and playing with swords and blowing things up and hitting the ground. So it was action packed enough. It's not like I was a cop on SWAT and tackling guys every week, which sounds like a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. But there's this fantasy that you have as an actor that you just want to do stunts all the time, but then you do it and it's really exhausting. So it was just enough, and I think at some point I just realized, like, okay, I'm having this idea that I want to be all these other things, and I think I was just thinking of some other show as opposed to what I would change about Charmed. There's not much I would, even in hindsight, go back and change. I think our writer did a great job, and he wrote for the girls as they were going through different life experiences, and our writing room worked so diligently to keep coming up with storylines. And I'm no writer like that, so I thought it was amazing that they could keep coming up with something different and still making it fresh. It's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
you, Leo.
Mia has her hand up, and then we have James, and we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. It's so exciting to be able to talk to you. You mentioned your son. I was wondering if he's seen any of the show with you, if he's watched along with you at all, and if he has any thoughts.
So we got divorced when he was little, and Charm never showed in their house, and that's just kind of how it was. And I don't know that he's ever watched any of them ever. Maybe he's seen some snippets, and he definitely has friends that have watched it who love it, and he's never intimated that he's watched it, not even once, which is fine. And he's watched a few other things I've done, and he'll audition with me, which is very difficult because he'll stop and be like, "Oh, that wasn't very good," and I'm like, "Would you just?" He's like, "Well, you're not being you," and I'm like, "Look, I'm not being like." It's hard to act with him or him see me other than just me. So maybe that's part of why he doesn't watch either. I'm just dad, I'm not anything else. So it's, as far as I know, he hasn't watched any Charmed. There's things. I just did this thing, and it's in Die Hard 3 that just came out, the Kevin Hart thing, and I have a nice little episode in that, and I sent that to him, and he liked that and was impressed by it, thought it was funny, but I don't know that he's really watched anything else I've done, which I'm kind of like, dude, like, know who your dad is.
I have a teenage son, so I understand they can be difficult.
Yeah, he's like, whatever, you're just dad, you're not cool. Which is fine. I think to separate it, it's been very difficult. We just had this conversation not too long ago, and it's, to grow up having a parent that has had success like I have, it's a lot for him to live up to. Now he has this own imposed idea that he needs to be great just to be, which he doesn't. But I think he has a self-imposed pressure on himself. And, we just had a long conversation about this a few weeks ago. And, I kind of set him free from it and said, you're already great. There's nothing you have to live up to. And I want you to be you and the best you that you can be, and you deserve it. And he cried a little bit, and he's like, he just wanted to be heard and know that I understood it. And I think it was a really kind of clearing moment for us that probably came, we could have had that conversation a long time ago. And I'm glad that we finally did.
I can imagine that probably came very full circle after you put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect on the set, of Charmed. Like, I can imagine that was just this roundabout moment.
Yeah, you try to protect your child, and obviously I'm not Brad Pitt or anything like that, but there's a certain amount of success, and I think something to live up to. And other people know that he went to high school, and everybody at high school knew who his dad was, and so now he's embarrassed, and you're in high school, you don't want to be seen. Yeah, you're just trying to survive, right? And now he has all this on him, and that's a lot of pressure on a young person. And I think he's carried that with him for a long time, and to finally kind of set him free for that, and it's been healing as of late.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I love it. I love it. We have one last question with James, and he can take it from here.
Hey, hi, Brian.
Hi, James.
First I want to let you know that like I'm a huge like Lifetime fan, and you've been in some of my favorites.
Yes. Thanks.
Especially Party Mom with Krista Allen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That got real physical, but back to Charm. My question.
Did you see on that scene where we go over the couch and thing? I was like,
yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
exactly the one.
And she was like, bring it.
That's exactly the scene I'm talking about.
Bruised.
So y'all was going at it.
Oh, I was just trying to fight her off.
But back to Charm. My question has to do with Witch Stop. When the sisters go back to the 60s and we meet a young Leo, a very flirty Leo. Do you think he and Grams had a little fling?
Well, look, Leo's been around for a while, right?
Yeah. And he seems to have a thing for Halliwells.
I mean, that's a question for Holly. She's gonna say yes for sure. I like the idea that Leo was a little bit of a player, and he's been pick your Halliwell along the years.
I mean, because he was trying to get with Paige.
There might have been a thing with Patty. We don't know.
I mean, there was a thing with Graham's mother.
Yeah.
So he might like to keep it in the family.
I mean, yeah. I'd like to think maybe.
We're getting heated. We didn't expect today. Now we're getting information. We didn't know we were going to get.
Don't tell Piper.
It's our secret.
Yeah.
But thanks.
You're welcome.
And look forward to see what you're doing next.
Thanks. I got another Lifetime thing we're going to shoot next month. It's I Fell in Love with Santa Claus.
Oh.
It'll be a cute one. Yeah.
I can't wait to
I'll definitely be on the lookout for it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
I cannot wait to see that. I want to take a moment and just thank you so much for coming and talking to us on our little corner of the internet and just making our year. Because my God, this was so unexpected, and I'm gonna have to tell Michael Bailey Smith thank you for sharing information.
He's amazing. We actually have him on tomorrow as a special guest. I'm gonna have him talk about the many characters on Charm that he played, and talk about his amazing career, and what a nice guy. And I'm so glad that he turned us on together here, and I was able to do it. And I really, really, really appreciate you and all of you. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, and you are welcome here whenever. However, if you just want to stop in and just stare at us for 5 minutes and leave, that's perfect.
I'm just like,
yeah. We'll just sit here and just kind of put our face together. But I did want to take a moment and just let you know that we have a website and we have some merch. And if you want to just pick something from there, whatever you want, we will absolutely send it to you.
Oh, amazing.
And you just let me know. I will send you the link in an email. And
cool. I'll check it out.
Yes, sir. So we are going to go ahead and let you go and get back to the rest of your amazing, amazing day. And I hope that you have a good one. Get you something to eat. And yes, so Jim was showing his Book of Shadows, and so I just wanted to show mine. I don't know why.
Dang, nice.
Yeah, we just wanted to show them off for a second. Don't know why, but it felt appropriate.
I love it.
But thank you again from the bottom of my heart and my soul for
thank you. I'm blessed, and I'm so glad you're doing this. It really means a lot, and we're keeping it going. You're keeping the family alive. I'm really proud.
Thank you
for.
I am very grateful for what I have been able to do. And thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'll come back on. So no tears. There's no tears in the broadcasting.
Well, we made Leo cry, so it only makes sense. It only makes sense. So, but we're gonna let you go.
All right.
You have a great rest of the day.
All right, nice meeting y'all. Love y'all.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Love you,
Bye.
Leo.
Bye.
Amazing speaking with you. Have a wonderful day.
See ya.
Bye.